Sometimes the way a system was designed to help could start to behave differently than was intended. These subtle shifts can then start to impact the people using Twitter. In a blog post Thursday, Roman Chowdhury, the head of Twitter's META team, said researchers set out to determine whether some political groups or news outlets were amplified more than others. While this study concluded that the answer is yes, figuring out why is the much bigger challenge. Like all recommendation engines, Twitter's algorithms aim to maximize engagement. Though a process of constant kaleidoscopic trial and error, the algorithms have concluded that right leaning content generates more engagement than left leaning content. But explaining why has far more to do with human nature and the way people engage with ideas they do or don't agree with than it does with coding. The dynamic is not unique to Twitter. Though artificial intelligence is widely deployed in daily life, powering such applications as medical software, social media feeds, and facial recognition, machine learning models often are referred to as black boxes, given how difficult it is to interpret their decision making processes. It's so challenging that there is a vast field of industry research and funding efforts dedicated to making AI more explainable. Chowdhury said the team would embark on root cause analysis to determine what changes, if any, are necessary to reduce adverse impacts from the home timeline algorithm. Twitter is sharing the research with outsiders and making aggregated data sets available for third party researchers who want to reproduce the META team's findings. The research is part of the company's efforts to make its internal data more accessible to outside sources, a move that could put pressure on other social media platforms like Facebook, which has garnered criticism for its refusal to share its own evaluations with the public to ramp up transparency. Algorithmic amplification is not problematic by default. All algorithms amplify, Chowdhury said in the blog post. Algorithmic amplification is problematic if there is preferential treatment as a function of how the algorithm is constructed versus the interactions people have with it. Twitter's finding stands in contrast to allegations of censorship from conservatives who have accused Twitter, Facebook, and other platforms of silencing their voices. A raft of conservatives have been suspended or banned for violating engagement guidelines, many relating to misinformation. Trump and his supporters have used social media as a vehicle to insist without evidence that the 2020 election was rigged and stolen. They have pushed to dismantle Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, the federal law that shields platforms from liability stemming from user post and content moderation decisions. Meanwhile, many liberals have criticized social media companies for not taking further steps to censor dangerous speech from conservatives on their platforms. Trump's banishment from the biggest platforms helped jumpstart his plan to form Trump Media and Technology Group, which says it aims to rival the liberal media consortium. According to the company overview, it will include a Twitter like social network, Truth Social, that will allow users to post truths and retruths similar to tweets and retweets. Within hours of the platform's beta launch Wednesday night, pranksters found what appeared to be an unreleased test version and posted a picture of a defecating pig to the Donald Trump account. The site has since been taken offline. Yeah, that's a
Wow.
fitting end to that particular
Love it.
article.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes, sir. That
Yes,
was
ma'am.
nice.
Yes, ma'am. Ooh. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was going to talk about that too. And see, and I'm going to talk about these algorithms because, see, people, a lot of people don't. We're talking about how words do matter. And are we really paying attention to some of these words, like word like algorithm? Now, most people, oh man, I don't care about that. I really don't care. But if you really know what it does and what they are doing, you really should care. Anyone should be concerned about this. And like Ann was saying last week, I've gone from angry William to like to tease you a lot, William. And uh, I'm angry now about these algorithms.
Alrighty then.
I'm really
Hello.
angry about this because I know what it means. Okay, I really know what I mean because being in this, if you're in this industry, or you are, let's say you are, say you're a popular social media person, you know what algorithms mean. If you're in the radio and TV business, you know what algorithms mean. All right, because what happens there is these people are purposely drawing, an algorithm is used to direct traffic in a certain way. So, in other words, certain things are posted to draw your attention, and they have admitted the reason why Facebook will not admit it because they know they are doing it. They
Right.
know they are doing it. All
You
right.
know it.
YouTube, all of these clowns are doing this. All right. And so what happens is, so if they can manipulate that, they can influence laws, they can influence votes. They can influence violence. They can influence racism. They can influence hatred. All right. See, it all goes back to what we're talking about right now. That's why you got these major voter suppression laws going on in these, or attempted to be made in these red states right now. That's why you got gerrymandering going on. I talked about Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee, how they're carving up her district right now so she can get less votes.
Wow.
Okay, come on, man. Yep,
Well, to
I'm
be
get,
fair, to be
go
fair,
ahead, man.
the Republicans have been gerrymandering for decades, and they have been they've been carving up districts to their own benefit for as long as we can. They've always been about voter suppression. I mean,
Mhm.
go back to Jim Crow era. The Republicans have been about voter suppression for a long time. So this isn't new. What's new is that they have a system, which according to the article and uh, not to mention the thing I was telling you guys about the social dilemma that I saw on Netflix. They don't completely understand what they have unleashed. They've come up with this system to tell them how to get more engagements, and they think they programmed it one way, but then they're human beings, and human beings are flawed. So obviously, they have created a flawed system. It's just what happens. And so now this system has taken over, and is finding that, oh, the angry people, the violent people, the biased people, those people are more engaged on this platform than, say, for instance, the rest of us who are, I guess, as they want to put it, more left leaning, more liberal, whatever term you feel comfortable with. And so it's not that we're not tweeting, it's not that we're not putting positive things out there, it's just that the negative things are getting more attention, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does make sense. Well, we look at it's proven right now, even before all of this social media stuff. Um, Look at newspapers. Look at news on TV. The negative stories got the attention. Nobody wanted to talk about the Boy Scout helping the grandmother across the street.
True.
Nobody wanted to talk about somebody doing something good for somebody. Nobody wanted to talk about, well, what about the Salvation Army? What are they doing for people? Okay, well, standing on Christmas time or things like that, whatever it is, giving, uh, United Way or whatever it is, nobody want to talk about those stories or any story or the heroism that's shown by everyday people every day about something. But they rather want to hear, well, yeah, the election was stolen. This group of people, they are bad. They are bringing germs into our country. They are
Right.
doing this, they're doing that, and they're spreading this garbage and hatred. And these are the types of things to get the treatment. Dr. Demery, I had posted something on Facebook last week, and it got pretty good, likes and whatever it is. So I decided I wanted to boost it. I just wanted to spend $10. Facebook rejected it, and because it was a song by Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey. Well, we don't promote alcohol and stuff like this on this platform. I said, but you allow racism on here, huh? You allow how children are affected, whether they're molested or whatever it is. You allow that, don't you?
Exactly.
Wow.
But you
What's
Exactly.
don't
that?
allow a song about Tennessee whiskey.
That's
And
it.
it's
Wow.
not about whiskey anyway. If you listen to the song,
That part.
Mm.
That part.
Right, right. Listen to the whole song. It's like
listen to
taking
the
the
whole song.
scripture out of context.
He
Read the
said,
whole
"Yeah,
chapter.
right,
Read the
right,
whole
right." He
chapter.
said, he tells his woman, "You're smooth as Tennessee whiskey, as sweet as strawberry wine.
Come
You
on.
know, warm as a glass of brandy." Good Lord, I'm gonna sing this one tonight. All right, but anyway,
Oh,
Now see there. Now see, we would see. No,
you know,
I'm
we're
not
trying
going
to be
there.
straight here. You just jumped off the mark. Boy, your
I
attention
said,
deficit disorder is working high today.
You have been diagnosed.
That part.
see, y'all was just waiting for the opening, weren't you? I
Yes.
didn't work.
Yep.
I said
Yep.
tonight after
Hmm.
this show.
Right, 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 right.
Okay.
Yeah, Doctor Demery, Doctor Demery, are you
Yes.
gonna say they jump in here?
Well,
Dr. Demery is
it's not
wise.
surprising because it's the same thing, just a different tactic, twisted in a different way. What they used to
Uh-huh.
do when we used to go to the movie theater, subliminal suggestion. They
Yep.
pipe, popcorn sent in through the vents, and then when the intermission would come, you'd want to go buy popcorn.
That part.
They
Exactly.
just tap into the old noodle,
Come
and
on.
it's the same thing. It's just they just changed the tactics a little different and tried to use science and to show that they're upgraded, but it's the same thing.
It is the same. It's
It's
the
the same,
manipulation.
same old thing.
Mhm.
The same thing. But I tell you what. I very seldom do we do this, but I'm gonna talk about the great Democrats here right now for a second
Uh-oh.
Well, before
because
you do that, can I just say one thing? I agree with Reverend Emery that they are using similar tactics. I just think they're more dangerous,
they
a
are.
lot more dangerous, especially when they don't even understand what they're doing. You know how when you're a kid and you do stuff just because you can do it, but you don't
Uh-huh.
understand the consequences of it. They're like that. I mean, it's like
Right.
a kid who's found a match. Ooh, I know how to, to light the match and set
Right.
this fire, and I know how to set the paper on fire, but I don't know how to put it out.
Right.
It's that type of situation. It's really dangerous for
Yeah.
everybody.
You're gonna set the whole house on fire.
Right, right.
you know. Oh, I was gonna tell a story about I set my yard on fire one time, but that's another story.
You
But
did what? What? The whole yard? You trying to start
yeah,
a forest fire in
it
your
was
yard?
it was a it was a bright idea I had. I
You
got
know, that's why you got beat a lot because see, you try to paint an innocent picture about yourself. Your mama need to stay on you.
okay, all right. Well, I got tired of those gophers, and I thought that was gonna work.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
All right, but anyway,
Look,
You
you
tried to
want
get rid of
them
the gophers under the ground with a fire on
with a
top of the
fire.
ground.
Isn't that amazing?
yeah, you know what?
1 plus 1, William.
And
One
look at
plus one equals 2. But you can't get rid of the gophers under the ground with a
Oh
fire on top of
my
the
oh,
ground.
oh,
It's
oh,
just
oh,
gone.
oh,
goodness.
oh.
Mm-mm.
No, you don't understand. I poured the lighter fluid in the hole. Okay, yeah,
William,
okay.
really?
The silence should have been your clue. The 3, 4, 5 seconds of silence should have been your clue right there. That there's
Oh
there's
my
nothing to say.
goodness.
There's nothing to say.
Well, see, these gophers were smart. They covered the hole real quick, and that's where the fire backfired and got back on the grass.
The gophers had more sense than you. That's what you're saying.
Oh my
And,
goodness. Oh my
So
goodness.
you match your match with some gophers.
yeah, I did. Well,
Gophers.
look here. Okay.
It
Well,
sounds like a Bugs Bunny moment.
let's let's put it like this. I never did that again. All right, I never
I
I
did.
bet
know
you
you
did, Elmer
didn't.
Fudd. I bet you did
Oh
not,
my
Elmer.
goodness.
All right. So
I bet you didn't.
you
Wow, I got to tell
you
her straight.
you live and you learn. All right. Okay, Artie. All
Wow.
right. Okay. Anyway, just lighten the moment in a little bit. All right. Now, I was I lighten the mood, but
Yes,
no.
you did. I'm floating right now. I'm floating and
Oh,
back in time, trying to picture you being the black Elmer Fudd with a gopher instead of Bugs Bunny.
oh,
In his hole and trying to burn him up, and he like, "Nah, Doc, I got something for you."
I got some.
Amazing. Amazing.
See, and you see what you turned this show into right now.
I'm just, you did it.
Okay.
You are the one that said you were
You
the
should have
Black
kept
Elmer
that
Fudd.
secret.
You
You should have
did
kept
it.
that secret, honey.
You did it.
I don't care. I
I know you don't. See, that's the
really don't.
problem. That's why, okay, do not say nothing else about your mom. You said, I think my mother liked to spank people, spank me. No,
Right.
now you're letting us know you needed it.
She
Well,
needs to be some common sense into you. That's
My
what she
well, guess
needed.
goodness
what?
Bless
gracious.
her. Bless
Okay,
her.
all of that stuff stopped when I was 12.
I bet
Sure it
it
did.
did.
Sure it did.
All right, then.
You
I
get
was.
You
blowed
just
up a
did you
couple of times
graduate
by
to
a
something
gopher.
else?
Your gopher blow you up a couple of times.
Look
Yeah,
here.
let
I
them
tell you
have some
what.
stuff.
Hey, look here.
Somebody
You
said William on the radio station, one of the followers said, Brother William got issues from way back when. They
look
said
here.
from way, and she said way back when.
Right, right,
All
right.
right. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Look.
Don't share no more of your secrets.
No,
Yeah. Don't
look
tell nobody else. You
here.
done already told enough of the millions of people on the planet. Don't tell
Oh,
nobody else.
Man.
look here.
Mm-mm.
As long as people are entertained, that
Yeah.
that's called algorithms. All right.
I'm
Get-
telling you, Looney Tunes about to get a lot of new viewers because it's like
Come
William took us
on.
back right there. We got to watch the ones with Elmer
Man.
Fudd, Picture William, and then Bugs Bunny is now Gopher. It's a
Elmer
whole
Fudd.
new
No, she
take.
didn't go get Elmer.
Look here. Hey, now you. Oh my God. See, folks. You see what I go through on this show.
Hey,
Oh, don't
Hey.
play the innocent game. Don't do
I,
you
that.
well,
started every time. You
I,
started every
I,
time.
yeah. Well, then I'm doing my job. All right.
Yes, you
Ooh.
All right.
did it. You
I,
did.
I
You have
sure did.
entertained us all tonight. I am thoroughly. I'm telling you, I'm gonna watch Looney Tunes after this.
Okay.
I,
Yes, sir.
I am glad you are enjoying yourself. Man. Boy,
Now
and you
you
know
know
what?
that's a good story.
You know it.
That was a good one.
Look here. I tell you one thing. I know for a fact I will never live this one down.
No,
Nope.
not the way that you let me live. Let's get it on down. That's how this one's going down.
Oh,
Stay on, girl. I love it.
oh, oh
Mm-hmm.
Lord. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in big trouble because I haven't let that one go yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
Oh Lord. I can see Ann on Saturdays now. Hey, were you burned in the yards up lately? On
Oh,
Saturday morning?
Yes. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
when you come to interview on Eating as an Active Worship Ministry, yeah,
Oh,
we'll
guess what?
have it.
I have more stories to tell you then.
Oh
uh-oh.
wow, wow! I can't wait.
But, oh, speaking of that, you hang around in the big leagues. You know, when it takes about 4 5 months. No, actually, it'll be 7 years. And how long to get on her show?
Oh, he
Oh
gonna
my
do
Yeah.
it. Watch
gosh,
right here.
stop
Oh
it!
yeah.
Watch.
Oh yeah.
Watch.
But
Because he was
I'm
talking trash on the phone. Come on with
I
it.
am I
Come
am
on.
grateful and to be found to be on your show, Your Highness. Thank you so much. I really.
Wow. Well, look. To be honest, William has been throwing hints for years. You hear that
Uh-huh.
guy yesterday? I mean, he literally has been. I'm like, William.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, one of these days it's gonna click. William, we talk every week on the show. Reverend Demery, Dr. Sims, you have both been on the show.
I believe it. Yes.
Does William participate in the show?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he
Even when I
does.
was on there with you, and he snuck in there.
Right,
He told me, I'm just gonna be quiet in the background. Yeah,
Yeah, I
right.
was. Well, for 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
He held his peace for 2 whole minutes.
Y'all
Bless
gave me
him.
y'all gave me two. Oh, I think that's a show, and you politely asked me off.
Well, William, I politely brought you on too. I said, I know William wants to say something, so before he bursts, come on, William, with your
You
question.
did do that. You did that when I was on your show, Ann.
Yeah,
And then I said,
yeah,
before you start taking over,
yeah.
peace out.
But
Wait,
he's been begging on this side too. Now I haven't been
what?
on here that long. Yes, you did. I'm gonna tell it. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You said, excuse me, and had an attitude. Yes, he did. Tell me, you got this one coming on. I ain't never heard you invite me. I'm like, hey, well, anyway,
Yeah. And
give a sister a chance.
I think what made it worse is that Dr. Demery's been on. You've been
Okay.
on. Now
Uh,
Dr. Demery's wife has been on.
yeah.
And he's like, well,
Oh,
hold on. You know,
so
you
he's pouting. He's
right.
pouting.
I think
Oh,
that's
I'm not
kind of
I'm
it.
pouting. I mean,
sorry.
there's a difference between pouting and stating facts.
You were pouting and stating the facts. There's no difference.
Oh, it wasn't that.
Right.
And as
You
a
know,
matter of
Yes,
fact,
you were.
matter of fact,
matter of
you were
fact,
whining. Matter of fact, you
Oh,
were whining.
one, oh Lord, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go to the next segment of our broadcast today.
On the serious tip, before we move, it's going to be an awesome discussion because William really does have a very inspirational testimony from in which he blames me in part for.
oh my.
But I think it's going to be a blessing for our listeners. So unfortunately, we couldn't get him in December like we thought we were going to
Yeah,
because you are going out of town. So we had to put
yeah.
you in the January slot, and he complained about that and then tried to,
Oh,
pretend like it was a joke.
exposed, girl.
but
Exposed.
but no, I'm just kidding. He just said it a little while ago that the little thing he was talking about when it because it takes a long time to get on the show. But and that's when we're blessed with an influx of people. Sometimes. I think Reverend Dimmer had a quick turnaround, but a lot of times we book like 2 or 3 months in advance. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. You know, you hanging out with in the big leagues. Then, boy, you rubbing
oh my
elbows.
gosh.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel
Mm.
special. Thank you, Ann, for that.
You're
Uh,
not
thank,
special, William. That's why you have 3 therapists.
you know,
Mm.
But
Ooh.
it's working. I got to give Dr. Woodbury Harris, Dr. Sims, and Dr. Kiki all their props. William has mellowed out, hasn't he, Dr. Demery? He's different from when we first started 5 years ago.
Really? He was worse than this?
I'm
worse.
telling you,
I
every
wouldn't use.
episode he was mad about something. Now
Ooh.
he's a lot happier. He just likes to tease, and it's fun.
You
It was
know,
fun
Oh.
before, but
yeah. So I wasn't always angry if we had fun before. But
well,
see, I
you was justifiable anger. We all were angry. I mean, from
okay then.
2016 on, we everybody had a reason to
Oh
be
Lord.
mad.
Oh Lord. Doctor Sims, you don't know this. And what happened was, oh God, when we woke up and that buffoon had won the election, I told Ann about this. I said, I didn't want to get out of the bed. I was
Mm.
I was angry. I went and that Sunday when we came on the show, I was telling Ann I was depressed. She said, "You ain't depressed. You just mad." I said, "Okay."
Pretty much. Pretty much.
and that happened every Sunday, and because it was a lot to talk about.
And it still
Wow.
is. I
It,
mean,
Oh.
I say that because you aren't talking about all the stuff that's happening, now the way you were back then, and
oh no.
you seem to have kind of tapped into a Zen moment or something.
Yeah. It's actually
but
it's always been there, and it's really always
it,
been there. Yeah.
well, no, and it's not a bad thing. I think what we did was be a voice of reason at a time where unreason prevailed and irrationality prevailed, and unfortunately, it's still happening. You still have a lot of
Right.
unreasonable people, irrational people, and at the same time, though, everybody needs a sanity moment. We need
Right.
some laughter. We need to take a break for it because you remember there were times we were talking, and you guys would say, "Hey, didn't you hear about this?" I'm like, "Nope." I took a break from reading the articles. I needed
Oh well,
I
it was
needed
a
a
lot.
break. Yeah, every week it was a Mount Everest moment. It was
Oh,
always something. So I needed to go down to the valley where the lilies were and just chill out
Come
every
on.
now and then.
Come
uh,
Um,
on.
and
and
I think this is kind of like that moment. It's like, okay, it's 2021. We got a new president. So we just going to check out on politics for 2021.
no, it was very refreshing. It was definitely very refreshing. But even
hmm
during then, those moments we did switch up sometime because
hmm
we talk about domestic violence. We talk
Yeah, we did.
and we spent a
We
lot of
did.
time talking on um, how lies can affect you. And I
We
mean,
did.
Yes,
physically
yes,
and mentally. How
indeed.
lying is actually you releasing what we say or cortisol. There's
Mm-hmm.
toxins in your body, lying and
Mm-hmm.
cheating and just doing not necessarily dumb stuff, but evil stuff, mean stuff.
Right.
So we spent several weeks talking about that. I think we spent about 3 or 4 weeks on lying.
And every
Because,
time we talked about live, we talked about Kellyanne Conway, we talked about Trump,
yeah.
we talked about politics in that context.
Oh, absolutely.
We worked it in there.
Yeah, and and guess what? And Trump gave us plenty of ammunition.
Oh, he
Well,
gave it to us when
yeah,
he was running for president.
He
It
was
wouldn't be
lying.
this hard when he
yeah,
got in because
Like,
he was
like
lying from Jump Street.
look here, he was
exactly.
lying. Like Reverend Dimmer, he said, like, see, Reverend Dimmer kind of hold that back. He lying. He was lying several times a day. Now I'm gonna tell you something.
Right.
And they had something last week. They were talking about. Oh my God, Sarah Huckabee. All right, was interviewing. She was interviewed by this Australian reporter,
Oh,
which
don't do
which
it.
it was a real interview. Well, let's say it was a beatdown. She was and she's still lying again, just lying. And so the woman says, no, 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 you didn't address the question. You didn't address my. And she go off on something else. Hillary Clinton, somebody else wasn't even relevant to the conversation. But he gave us, but 20,000. And so at that time, this was in 2020. She says, wow, Wall Street Journal, and we've got all this documented proof that Trump lied over 20,000 times. Can you imagine how many times a day you would have to lie to make up 20,000? I mean, in 4 years.
Well,
Now,
imagine how much he's lied since then. I mean,
Okay.
and I tell you what, this guy is full of poison, then. Full of
hmm
poison. I mean, you
yeah.
have to think about it. And look at what he done did to himself. Lying at McDonald's. That's all he do. Eat McDonald's and lie.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
don't forget the Diet Coke. That's important. All right.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah.
oh.
You gotta chase all that down with some Diet Coke.
Well, that,
It's
oh,
gonna help. It's
oh
gonna
my goodness! But it was. But I can't. But this show, like I said, Ann's been with us 5 years, and
Mhm.
wow, it's an amazing show. And like I said, now next week, Sister Sandra Dimmer will be on, and we'll be talking about domestic violence. So, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to get into the main portion of the show today, and got some interesting information we want to share with the audience. And again, folks, I want you to jot this down. Um, Jot it down. You can text it to yourself or however you want to do it. And it's these are excerpts from my Black History Calendar, myblackhistorykcalendar.com, myblackhistorykalendar.com. And this is done brilliantly by Brother Jamani Redway. Enjoy, folks.
Lucy Craft Laney. Lucy Craft Laney was born free on April 13th, 1854, in Macon, Georgia, 11 years before slavery was abolished by constitutional amendment after the end of the Civil War. She was the seventh of 10 children, born to free people who were both formerly enslaved. Her father had saved enough money to buy his freedom and that of his wife about 20 years before Lucy's birth. Both her parents were strong believers in education and were very giving to strangers. This upbringing would strongly influence Lucy in her life. At the time of her birth, it was illegal in Georgia for Black people to learn to read, but with the help of her parents' connections, Lucy became literate at the age of 4. She continued to study and attended a mission school run by the American Missionary Association in Macon. In 1869, she entered the first class of Atlanta University, where she prepared to be a teacher. She graduated from the school's teacher training program in 1873. Lucy Laney worked as a teacher in Macon, Milledgeville, and Savannah, Georgia for 10 years before deciding to open up a school of her own. Due to health reasons, she settled in Augusta, Georgia, where she founded the city's first school for Black children. Her first class had 6 students in 1883, but Laney quickly attracted interest in the black community, and by the end of the second year, the school had over 230 students. And with this increase in students, she needed more funding for her operation. She attended the Northern Presbyterian Church Convention in 1886 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and pleaded her case there, but was initially turned down. However, one of the attendees, Miss Francine Haynes, later declared an interest in Lucy's circumstance and donated $10,000 to Laney for the school. With this money, Lucy Laney expanded her offerings. She changed the school's name to the Haynes Normal and Industrial Institute in honor of her benefactor and to indicate its goals of industrial and teacher training. Although the school opened with just a few students in 1883, by 1886 it was chartered and expanded with a kindergarten and junior college. By 1928, it had more than 800 students. Sewing, laundry, and printing were some of the industrial skills taught on the campus. The school also served as a community center. It was supported by the Presbyterian Board of National Missions. While living in Augusta, Lucy Laney joined the Niagara Movement, founded in 1905. Later in 1918, she helped to found the national chapter of its successor civil rights organization, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP. She was also active in other organizations to promote the welfare of Blacks, and specifically Black women, the Interracial Commission, and the National Association of Colored Women, respectively. She also helped to integrate the community work engaged in by the YMCA and YWCA, which at that time had separate organizations for Black and white residents. Our amazing and trailblazing sister, Lucy Craft Laney, made her transition on this day, October 24th, 1933. She's buried at the corner of Laney Walker Boulevard and Phillip Street, where she first founded the Haynes Normal and Industrial Institute. In 1974, Governor Jimmy Carter arranged to hang the first portraits of Black Americans in the Georgia State Capitol to honor their contributions. Among them were Lucy Craft Laney and the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. In 1992, Lucy Craft Laney was inducted into the Georgia Women of Achievement.
Wow. Lucy Craft Laney. And we are back. This is the Boomerang Radio Show. I want to thank everyone listening to us around the globe to the Boomerang Radio Show. I enjoy that, enjoy the music. And wow, Lucy Craft Laney. And I'm not sure, have you heard of her before?
No, I had not heard of her before. It was very interesting learning about her. It was wonderful what she did with her life.
It is amazing the contributions that has been made to the society. Like I said, we've been talking about the various contributions, and over the last several weeks, we were talking about obviously the Black Wall Streets. But see, now I think it's important also that we talk about the individuals that made major contributions to society
Right.
in our world here. Dr. Sims, your take?
I have not. I don't know of her, William, but like Ann said, it's very interesting on the history. And I one thing that I'm glad about is that they did so note the history, because I really believe that there are more who contributed to the Wall Street era in the Black community, but just doesn't is not written. I don't know how you all feel, but I think a lot of history has been omitted.
A lot of it's
Um,
been destroyed.
yeah, that part.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Uh-huh.
And they're digging up bits and pieces, and I'm glad that they're doing that. And the reason why I'm glad that they're doing that, because we as a Black people, we need to understand how significant we are when
Mm-hmm.
we've been made to feel insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
And so we played a big role in the success of these United States, and they don't want to give us that credit. You
Of course
understand?
not. Of course not.
Okay,
Because then you have to tell the real history. You have to
that
talk
part.
about how not only picking cotton and tobacco, but we had over in Africa. I think there was. I think architecture started there, Doctor Demery.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, science. What is that? The study of the stars. What we call that? I forgot in school. Um,
Astrology, is it?
Astrology,
Mm-hmm.
astronomy. Was it
Astronomy.
astronomy? We did that. I hated that class. It
Yeah.
was boring. But you had to pass it, right? Most boring. The most boring field trip I ever went to was go to the planetarium. And you sit back in these recliner seats and you just look at the sky. I said, "Lord, when I'm getting out of here?" Um, I didn't like that at all.
Oh
Oh
my
my God!
goodness.
But talking
Yeah.
about building society and and the civilization. See, civilization didn't start here, did it, Doctor Demery?
Nope, nope, nope. It did not. It started in the heart of Africa, is where civilization began.
Right. And when we start talking about civilization, folks, we're talking about a society that was building industrial, okay, medicines, okay. Because if you look at the minerals, Africa is the richest continent. Africa is a continent on the planet here. Okay, we're talking anything from diamonds to the soils, and you've been there. I've never been there, Doctor Dimmer. I'm sure you've been there as well. But they have there are things in Africa that we'll never see here,
Of
as far
course
as
not.
as far as the food is concerned, the vegetation is concerned. Like I said, the soil, the richness, and things of that nature. These things aren't taught. But can you imagine? So why aren't things like that? Why aren't people like this sister that we just played? Why isn't that even taught in elementary schools? I think the elementary school kids can handle that.
She might, and then this is a big might because I didn't go to school in Georgia, but she may, be taught, in Georgia where she founded the school for Black History Month. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you hear about,
Mhm.
during Black History Month. But in general, no.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily teach us about that. And you're right. When you travel, you get to see not only other sites, but you get to see how other people live in their societies as part of their culture. And things are just, they're different. And at the same time, they're beautiful. At the same time, they can enrich you in ways that you don't realize. You can see the wisdom in the way that some things are done. And you can see how you're glad that you live where you live because we don't have to do things in another way that's, not as beneficial. So basically, there are two sides to every coin. One of the most beautiful things I saw when I was in Africa was a pink lake. The water was pink. There were
Wow.
some type of organisms that lived in the water that turned the whole lake pink. And when you pick up the water in your hand, it looks like regular water, but
Wow.
let it go and it's all there together. It's literally pink water. So I mean, yeah, no, I've never seen that, never heard of that in America. But there is a place in I think it's Senegal, where we saw it. It was either Senegal or the Gambia that has a lake that is entirely pink, a beautiful shade of pink. So, and I'm sure Reverend Demery, when he was in the Middle East, the Middle Eastern part of Africa, uh, that he saw a lot of things that I never got to see. I never went to the desert. That part does not in any way excite me. I don't want to go there,
Yeah,
but
it
the
doesn't
West.
snow for me, but I would love to go to the areas that it is very green and rich. Dr. Dimon,
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about your experiences there, uh, because you've traveled around the world several times. So tell us a little bit about your experiences.
Well, my most memorable experiences are the ones where I went on biblical tours in the Middle East, and like Ann said, North Africa and whatnot. So there's some really, really beautiful places. But what's interesting, I was disappointed by, some of the places that I seen. Like for example, I was really disappointed when I seen the Jordan River. It's just a little old tiny creek. I'm thinking of the Jordan River, it's big old river like the Mississippi. It's not. It's a little old tiny Waddy Creek, and it's not
Wow.
very much to it. But there were many, spectacular things. I would probably say at the top of the list was seeing the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid.
Mm.
When you don't have any idea what the Great Pyramid is like, the Pyramid of Giza, until you go there and stand next to one of those stones, just one of them, and it's made of millions and millions of those stones, and each one they think weighs, over 24,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
How
Wow.
they were able to construct that the way they did. I mean, I was pissed off when I listened to some of these people that talk about, oh well, aliens built it and they
Whoa.
didn't have the knowledge. Heck, they had the knowledge to do it and they built it. The Egyptians built it, the Africans built it. So
Mm.
those were some experiences that were mighty. But probably one of the most mysterious things that I got a chance to go to was when I was aboard one of the ships I was on. I took a group of people to the island of Patmos. And a lot of people don't even know Patmos is a real place because Patmos was a penal colony. And Patmos, as most of you know, you Bible scholars know, that's where John wrote the book of Revelation. And
Hmm.
it is a very spooky, mysterious place, even to this
Right.
day. People
Mm.
Wow.
go into some of those caves, and they even think they found some of the caves that he wrote in. It's very
Wow.
spooky, very mysterious, very ominous. But I can see why John wrote when he was sent to that penal colony, the island of Patmos, which is right in between Italy and Greece. But those were just some of the brief experiences that I had.
Wow,
Mm.
that's fascinating stuff. And talking about the pyramids, I remember reading several years ago about the pyramids, and I am still fascinated by them. And when you look at man today, still can't figure out how how they were doing it. They can't duplicate it now. I don't believe they can't duplicate that how they were made. And if you go into pyramids, it doesn't. They are always a consistent. Correct me if I'm wrong, Reverend Dimmer. 76 degrees in there, isn't it? So
Right.
around.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent. I didn't go in because I wasn't going in there. I have a mild form of claustrophobia, so I wasn't going down. And they said, "Will you go down it?" No, no. I'll wait for you guys here. When you get out, I'll be right here.
I know,
Right,
Where I
right?
right,
can
right, right.
breathe and I have air and I can see sunlight. I'm not
Yeah,
Right.
going
yeah,
down into no
Goodness, that's
cavern
funny.
or this
yeah.
abyss. I said I'll wait for you guys to come out. So a lot of them went down in there, and I was standing up there waiting when they came out.
Wow.
Okay, right. Okay.
Um,
Well, and look at you, you've gotten closer than most of us that's
Right.
listening right
Right,
now.
Right.
right.
I've never been there, but I was fascinated. And how if you look at and how it was described that these stones were perfectly cut.
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's amazing.
But not
And
only that,
then
the weight and the size of those things are just massive. Just one of those stones were bigger than your house, William.
oh,
Wow.
that's amazing. And then if you think about it, they had they it was something like there wasn't a rock quarry there or a stone quarry, whatever you would call it, for them to get it. And they say that it had to be transported quite a distance to even get it
Up the
there.
Nile River, they think that one of the main quarries was in Axum, which is like 25, 30 miles away. So they had to float the stones up. They believe, in theory, one of the theories is that they floated the stones up the Nile River and then transported them to the site.
Wow.
Okay. Now, then
Wow.
once you get them to the site, they have to be perfectly placed, and then they have to be lifted.
Right.
Dr. Sims.
Uh, Listen, I have nothing to say on that because I'm not an archaeologist or anything like that. I just know that it happened. Well, here's one of the things that they're saying too, and I don't know if you all ever heard this, is that they use some supernatural powers, the gravitate, to lift them up that way. Yeah, they said something about aliens doing it as well, but they said there was something that was supernatural about the people in that day who built those pyramids. And so I'm almost inclined to believe it because let me tell you something, those were God's children, period. Okay, during that time over in Africa, right? And so
Mhm.
I'm like, you know what? I have to reflect back to the scripture, and it still gets me from day to time to time. What is man that thou art mindful of him? Thou hast made him a little lower than the angels.
Mm.
When I
Mhm.
look at that scripture and I think about we haven't even tapped into our power. You understand?
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
have limited ourselves, and maybe some folk don't want us to know our power. Come on now. But I'm
Mm.
trying to
What?
find mine. I'm trying to find mine for real. So if I can float like a bee, come on here.
Mhm. All right. All right. All right.
But I just believe that God gave them the wherewithal. Because you even look at today, I
Mm.
don't know if you've even seen documents today where there
Mhm.
are children, I'm talking about not even the teenage level, they're building cities out of stand. The architect is so defined. You know,
Mhm.
they have nothing written down, but he's building it from his mind. Does that make sense? Or are they taking what we consider as trash and they're building pipelines to have their water? These are kids doing
Mhm.
this, kids.
Mhm.
And so
Right.
I tell people, and and I'm gonna make some folk mad because it is what it is. I really believe that God blessed us with an intelligence that is far beyond what we can even
Amen.
imagine. And they
Amen.
don't want you to learn that. They
Mm.
don't want you to know that. And I believe
Mhm.
I'm one of the chosen. Okay, I'm children, God's child.
Amen.
Just saying. The
Amen.
thing is this:
Amen.
I know that if you look down through the lineage of time, you look in the Word of God, and that's not changing. And
Mm.
people would say, "Well, you know, man wrote that," but then I have to dispel that because it was an
Mm.
inspiration by God. It's like He took His pen
Amen.
and wrote it. And so my thing is
Amen.
this: they are telling the truth because too many things have coincide with. You know, it says, okay, this really is legit because God is still working in that vein. It's just that the faith factor has limited God. And
Mm.
so I believe if we walk back in that era where we just trust God, so we get to move some things. But what I was alluding to our race, there is something very special about
Mm.
us. And I'm
Mm.
not dispelling anybody else because I look at the Asian race. I look
Mhm.
at their craft, their artistry, and they
Mhm.
just do it. You know, it's
Mhm.
not that they go to school and do it. And I think each culture has something special about them. And
Right.
if,
Right.
I
Right.
think if people would just stay in their lane, but yet
Mm.
unify while they're in their lane, this country would be a whole better place. I'm telling you.
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah, and when well, I want to define the lane is stay out of other folks' business. Now, appreciate and not appropriate.
Well, and that's the thing,
Well,
though.
you know.
There's this thing about appropriating that I think some people are kind of going a little overboard with, and it may not be a popular idea. But there's a difference between appropriating and basically using the gift that you put out into the world.
Hmm.
You are giving gifts. All of us are giving gifts. And once you use your gift for
Mhm.
the purpose God intended it to be used for, you have given it to the world. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not to say that somebody has the right to infringe on a copyright or, or a trademark or a patent or something like that. But like for instance, people get mad because, say for instance, rap music has spread all over the world. Well, you can get mad at the people in Russia for rapping when rapping is now a form of music, and ain't no black folks in Russia. So if anybody's gonna rap in Russia, it's gonna be the white folks that live
That
in
part.
Russia that rap. And so I think we want to hold on to sometimes too tightly what we have been given by God, but it's not necessarily just for us.
Right.
What you have been given is so that not only you will be blessed first, you and your household, but so the rest of the world will be blessed too. Now, And there are some people who do things in such a way where you can tell, okay, we're just trying to benefit from certain aspects of a culture, in order to make boost ourselves up while still being a part of the system that oppresses that culture. That to me is true appropriation, misappropriation. But a lot of the time, we have to recognize that once we give of ourselves in that way, in that creative way, in a scientific way. I mean, there's a thing called innovation for a reason. Yeah, you
Hmm.
were the inventor, but somebody else improved on or took it a
That
step
part.
further. That's
Yeah.
that's just part of human nature. That's what we do. And in terms of the pyramids, I wanted to say this before I forget. What people don't seem to understand about the Egyptians and a lot of other ancient cultures, is that they were far more intelligent, than we give them credit for. They understood mathematics and engineering and architecture, even medicine, in a way that in some ways we don't understand now. They found a prosthetic, on an Egyptian child, and the leg looked almost real. The fake prosthetic, even so much that they decorated it. I mean, it was very well made. And I remember in social studies class, my teacher, teaching us, and it was a white teacher, which made it even more fascinating, that the Egyptians could perform, back surgery on the spinal cord, even though they didn't have the conditions that we have today, to make things, sterile the way that we say they have to be sterilized. They had to operate in totally different conditions. So how they got a sterile environment enough to do that, and how they could take it so far that they could actually help somebody who was paralyzed walk again, and we still are trying to figure out how to do that.
Come on.
Amazing. Amazing.
So exactly. So they understood simple things like, how to leverage something. You if you get the right leverage, you can lift just about anything.
Mhm.
So they had a system in place. Yeah, they used slave labor to do it, but they had a system in place where they could lift those heavy blocks, and how
Mhm.
they could manufacture those heavy blocks, because they understood basic principles and even complex principles, because you got to realize a lot of the stuff that we are learning today was built upon by what they gave us back then.
Mhm.
So the math that our physicists are relying on today, well, you had people like the Egyptians who first had to understand the basic concepts, then take it further to algebra and calculus and trigonometry and all that other stuff, to where now they've gotten to the point where it's a lot more advanced and you can create something like a computer. But you needed those people to take the first steps to teach you how to get to this more advanced level. In other words, they had a gifting, they utilized their gift, and it spread all over the whole world, to where we now, as a global community, have a whole different understanding of mathematics and how it relates to science, how we can utilize that in medicine, and other aspects of our whole world. And that's the difference. It wasn't necessarily some superhuman gift, a superhuman, or supernatural being that built the pyramids. It's just that those people were that intelligent,
Mhm.
that they could do those things back then, and we still are learning a lot about how they were able to do it.
Right. I was Dr. Demery. Have you read anything about ancient inventions? For instance, I was reading something. I'm trying to remember. This has been. It had to be over a couple of dozen years ago when I read this. But they had pictures of these ancient batteries. Looked at, and they believed it to be batteries and some other mechanical things, surgical tools, and you mentioned
Mm.
something like that. But there were some advanced things that they have, that the archaeologists have dug up and found. Some. Have you read anything about that? And can you elaborate a little bit, Dr. Jim, if you have?
Well, just briefly, there was a book that was written by Eric von Daniken called Chariot to the
It
Gods.
was.
And he had all of these devices and whatnot that were found over here. And his I totally disagree with his hypothesis, which was that aliens, had brought this stuff here.
Right.
What
What?
Ann said, this
Yeah,
was
that's what they
the
say.
inventions of the people that were indigenous to the time, and in a lot of ways, they were a lot more intelligent than we are, and they began like the Arabs invented algebra, you know. So they were in a lot of ways much more advanced than we were, and here we are
Mhm.
supposed to be more advanced because we're
Hmm.
more intelligent, but that's not necessarily true.
Right, right, right. It was by Eric von Daniken, and he also wrote this book called Gold of the Gods.
Right.
It was Chariot of the Gods and Gold of the Gods. I read both of those books. That's why I saw that. And you're right. He gave the credit to aliens, Dr. Sims and Ann.
I'm
Um,
so tired of that lie. Woo, mercy.
Me too.
that's it, yeah. And there were batteries and all types of things
Mm,
that were used. I said, wait a minute, hold it. If they had batteries, did they have lights also?
mm,
Okay. Did they have
mm.
lights? They were generating something to do something with, so there was a lot going on back then. You're exactly right. That they were far more intelligent. You think about, like you said, and doing surgeries and things of that nature.
Well, if
And
you think about it, we have a lot of distractions. I mean, one of the things that that's
mm,
different from that existence than ours is the noise. I mean, on the one hand, your mind is you're constantly going. But can you think about the stillness that those people had, the ability to
Mhm.
get a clear thought through, to hear not, to hear from God, to be able to meditate on one thought, to think about it till you work it out in your head. I mean, it's totally different. We have something constantly pulling at our attention, constantly pulling at our attention here, whether it's a radio, a television, our
Chemical
phones.
imbalances, chemical imbalances.
Exactly. So I mean, and then not to mention that what's going
It's
on
true.
outside of your home. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
oh man,
There are a lot of different things that distract you, that
yeah,
that pull your attention away from being able to problem solve. And
yeah,
necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. When you have a need and you need to figure out how to do something, for instance, just imagine Adam and Eve being booted out of the garden and having nowhere to sleep that's safe.
Okay.
Well, you got to come up with a way, to have shelter. You got to come up with a way, to have clothes. So these things were necessary. You have to come up with a way to eat, to plow, to plant.
mhm,
Um, so as we see the need, then you have to come up with the solution. Your mind gets to thinking about it. We've got a whole lot handed to us now. We're really
you're right
comfortable.
about that.
And I think part of the biggest danger that we have is that people don't know how to take care of themselves anymore. You
Hmm.
take away electricity for a long period of time, that
Oh,
just that one thing. If you just take away that one thing, that'll crash society. I
yeah.
mean,
You take somebody's phone away from them today,
mhm,
you
They're
might get shot.
lost. They're lost. Because I
mhm.
Look,
and you right, Ann and William, because you know what? I don't remember no numbers because I push buttons. Okay.
Exactly. Nobody
It is.
does that
They made
anymore.
us. They made us. What happened? This modern day technology has caused us to be a lazy people in
uh-huh.
our
Mhm,
thought processes. So we depend so much on things given to us. Now I'm gonna reflect on the church, okay? Because
mhm,
it's all about that. Same way in the houses of prayer in God's church.
mhm,
Many people don't want to learn the Lord for themselves. Even
mhm,
let's just bring it
Hmm.
home. They'll
mhm.
sit there and they'll listen to some folks who are given half truth and half lies, and they'll
Amen.
believe it. They won't even research it out. They'll depend
Mhm,
on other people's relationships to get them into heaven. That ain't flying
mhm.
either. So
Amen.
my thing is this: is that we have got to get out of. That's why I said we don't know the power that we have. God
Mm,
has made us a little lower than the angels. We are made
mhm,
special. We have
mhm,
things that we need to just kind of relax. Like you said, there's too much distractions to
mhm,
keep us from getting to the true essence of ourselves. And
mhm,
so that's why. And even when I was in high school, it used to just irk me. I studied hard, but you have something. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, but won't pick up a book, fail
mhm,
your test, and they're waiting for things to fall in their lap on a
Mm-hmm.
silver platter, get mad at you now. Get mad at you because you want to advance your life. They'll call you Uncle Tom or Aunt Bessie, whoever they're gonna call you. But you wanted to make something out different for your life because you learn bits and pieces about the history of your culture. Now somebody said on the response and said that racism works both ways. I need to, can I respond to that if I may?
You
um,
can.
and my thing is this, sometimes people want to get offensive when we bring out certain things that has happened to us. It is my right to do so. It is my right to bring out the history. Now there's been other things happening to other cultures. I'm dealing with my history. I understand that racism works both ways because Satan gets in there and causes a division, and he causes us to look at each other so different than other than belonging to our God. One child, one nation under God, as they say. How many of you know it ain't no one nation under God? It's real talk here. There's so many differences. There's too many differences, too many opinions. And now that we want to bring out our history and the severity of the sufferings that we've been through, now we have the ones who have projected some of the turmoil and the persecution on us don't want to accept it because they will tell you, oh no, we didn't do that. Oh no, no, you didn't did it, but your daddy and your daddy down the line did it. I'm not angry, and what has gotten me over from this, because we have a right to be bitter. They make you think you don't have a right to be bitter. Yes, we look at things we're sorry for, but my thing is, I'm remembering what Jesus said on the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. We are in principle, we're not warring against flesh. It's against principalities and rulers of darkness and high places. That's why you can get those jokers up there, that 45 lying like he has no sense, and everybody else up there lying. Because I told people, I said, I really don't trust anybody nowadays but God, because we've got too many deceptors out there, and the main focal point is to keep us not being unified and to see what is really the truth. We've been fed so many lies that people believe it, you know, and they walk around and feel like they can't do any better. And you said it good too, is that we just don't. It's like we've been fanned to sleep. We just don't care. Whatever falls, it falls. No, no. I got awakening. I'm mad. I'm angry at because of our status. And yes, racism does work both ways. But who initiated racism? Let's put the blame where it lies. But then too, it is up to us to dissolve and dismantle racism.
Mm-hmm.
When you start looking
Mm-hmm.
at people to be the same, we all bleed red. Come on here. We all got a
Like the
heart, we
rain.
all got kidneys. And so there is no superior but God. I want the world to hear this because they need to understand that those who are walking in special places, they need to sit down because you ain't nobody. That's my saying thing right now. You need to
Mm-hmm.
get some act right. And yes, I honor your education. I honor your inventive nature. I honor all that. But if we would just learn to give each other the credit for the gift, the talents that God has put in all of us, then
Mm-hmm.
this would be such a better place.
Well, what they
Absolutely.
don't understand is that supremacy or superiority, that superiority complex, is a true mark that you are of your father, the devil, because
Yeah, that
that's
part.
one of his
Yes.
first and foremost sin. He thinks
Yes.
he is superior to everyone, including the one true living God, and that was every other angel, and every other created being, including us. That's why he hates us because he
Right.
feels like he's better than us, and God has given us what he tried to take. He
Right.
tried to take godhood, but the Lord called Adam and Eve what? Gods with a little g. And I didn't say that. The Bible said it. Jesus said it, and it said it in the book of God, in the book of Psalms. So he made them in his image. They were his children, his offspring. So they were little g gods, according to
Right.
the Bible. Satan tried to steal that, and if people could understand that that is the main reason why the enemy hates you, because
Mm-hmm.
Right.
you have been crowned, given that which he
Right.
tried to steal, and then on top of that you were made the warden over his prison,
That
because
part.
he was kicked out of heaven and sent to earth, and this was his prison, as well as the prison of all of the demons. So basically what's happened is the prisoners have overrun their prison, and taken everybody who was supposed to be ruling over them hostage. That's basically, spiritually speaking, what you got going on here. But this white supremacist attitude, or whatever race, if you're in China, you got them feeling like they're better than, I think they're called the Uyghurs or whatever they're called. You've got this going on all over the world, even in, different, on the Asian continent, on the European continent, even on the African continent, you can see one tribe committing genocide over another tribe. This superiority attitude is a sinful attitude that comes from the enemy.
Hmm.
And if you do not recognize that you are basically adopting a
Come
philosophy
on.
of Satan himself,
Indeed.
then you
Indeed.
got a serious problem. You couldn't know who Jesus is, because Jesus is love. And
Yes.
he says, how can you love him and hate your brother who you see every day? And that's
Indeed.
me and you. We all come from the same two people, Adam and Eve. So we are
Indeed.
brothers and sisters, every last one of us. And if we don't figure out how to love one another, then it's hard for us to say that we are children of the one true living God, especially those of us who say we believe in him. Because Jesus said that's how they will know his followers, that we would love one another. First and foremost, Christians supposed to love other Christians.
That's right. And you know what I want to say on the matter too, because I'm gonna say this: this radio station is an all-inclusive radio station all around the world. But what I have to say to people that say racism goes on both sides, those are the same people that say all lives matter. We're
Huh.
not talking. We know that all lives matter. We
Right.
know that every race on this continent can be racist.
Right.
But what we're talking about and what hasn't happened, there's no other race that I know about that has gone down and burnt down every black town, every black Wall Street that came up in the United States. I don't know any other race that has stolen and appropriated funds and property, including beaches, land, everything that black people built for themselves. Okay, I don't know about much racism going on when a black employer discriminates against some other race. Okay, to get good, decent jobs. And let's talk about the housing situation. Now, the same people. I want you to do something. Go on YouTube and find out how many black people are discriminated again when they just simply want to buy a home.
And their
Okay,
interest rates are
in a
higher,
neighborhood
William.
that's not all black. And
Hmm.
look at this other YouTube clip that I saw today about this black realtor and this potential buyer looking inside the house, and police come and arrest and,
Mm-hmm.
and handcuff them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I saw two instances about that today. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're talking about. And so, what that argument is racism on both sides. That is not an equal argument.
That
Mm.
part.
That is not
Oh,
an equal argument because we're not talking
agreed.
about that.
Agreed.
We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about now when there's equality. Oh, we're not also. There is statistics. You can look these up where black young men are more likely to get shot by a cop when he's on
Mm.
a simple traffic stop than a
Mm.
white person.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
William,
No,
you
I
know
don't want to
you're
hear no, and I don't want to hear this
yeah.
mess about racism on both sides. You try to make that thing sound equal. This is not an equal argument.
Oh,
Amen.
race.
Now,
Hey,
Amen.
I'm gonna tell you something. I love people,
me too. Definitely.
and I don't care who you are. I love people,
Mm-hmm.
but you got
Mm-hmm.
to come at me straight. You got to come at me honest. Don't
Come
come at me.
on.
Well, they did it. Y'all did it. I don't want to hear that garbage. I don't
Mm.
want to hear that. And when you stop discriminating in schools, when you stop discriminating in employment, when you stop discriminating in housing,
All right. All right.
all right, then you come talk to me about that.
All
Right.
right. All
In the
right.
meantime, kick back, grab a glass, and enjoy the show.
William, I need to bring something up too. It's amazing how, and you're saying something that is so valid.
Mhm.
because they also have secret codes to ID who
Come
they're
on
serving
now.
in
Uh-oh.
restaurants. They put
Mm.
an N on the receipt to let them know they're a Negro. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
And that determines, oh, this has been proven. Okay. It
Wow.
determines the kind of service that you get. Okay,
Wow.
what kind of atmosphere. But what they want your money though. But then
Right,
they
right.
identify you as a certain race, and for
Mhm.
the life of me, I can't understand why. One of my daughter-in-law, who is going for a doctorate for psychology, and she was saying it's amazing how they did their research, and we have business, really smart business Afro American men, and it's been proven that when we were to pursue or to get a house, our interest rates are slightly higher than
Yep.
our white brothers and sisters. You understand?
Mhm.
And then
Right.
they all of the things that are, and I listen, I'm not ashamed to tell this. When I was struggling and my children, I had three children in middle school and going into high school, and I was
Mhm.
recently divorced, and I was working two little PDI jobs, but I was trying to make it, but I needed some assistance like everybody else going that need to work that's working, okay? And they really getting assistance. Do you know, with three children, me, because I walked in there halfway dressed, didn't look like I was hanging out in the street, which I could have. My hair
Mhm.
was combed, and they looked at me and they sized me up because of my appearance. And they said, all we can give you is $10, but they'll give
Mm.
some to feed three children. And see, that
Mm.
is distasteful in my mouth today. But when you
Mm.
have somebody who is playing the system and they know it, they will say that we're the ones always playing the system. No, it's not. If they look at the history and if they do their right calculations, they'll find out who's doing fraud. Okay.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
And it
right.
is not us. And you have a certain culture who's in place, and I'm just gonna say it. There's certain culture who is in place to look out for their own brothers and sisters that's coming across the border, and they getting everything and snatching it from us. People are going to get angry at this, but this is real facts. But when we come, it's almost like, William, like you said, Wall Street, and they do it. Why is it that they don't want us to have? That's what gets me. Not really have, and then they only let you get so far, and they remind you of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's been the going thing, even in the industry in Hollywood. You notice it, and I know I'm jumping on because William, started a fire. But you look at
That's my job.
you look at how they are coming after our black brothers and sisters in Hollywood, even in that limelight.
Of
Good
course.
good illustration. Look at Denzel Washington. Now I don't know all of his history, but my thing is this: why is it? And I have to put it like there. The white women are coming after my brothers and talking about he did this and I felt funny 2004 with an interview with him.
I
Okay.
hadn't heard that.
Oh yeah, and because I felt funny because of our interview.
You
Well,
felt
maybe because he didn't make no play for you. Maybe that's the problem. Okay,
Right,
I'm just gonna be
right.
honest. You
right.
can't. You trying to pick at pull things out of the air to bring down somebody's character. Now, do you find us doing that? We retaliate, of course, but we're not trying to look at you. We trying to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Absolutely.
I think Trump made it really clear that he preferred people as immigrants from Caucasian nations.
Mm-hmm.
He called
Norway. Yeah, Norway and
right.
Sweden.
He felt like they were the ones that he wanted in the country, and he made
Right.
it clear that anybody of color, any shade of brown, was
Mm-hmm.
pretty much not welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's nothing that we can do about his reprobated mind and the way
No,
that
no, we
and the
can't.
way that he thinks. I think that's what the difference is that William was getting at when it comes to every culture being able to be to have biases,
Mm-hmm.
to discriminate, but
Right.
when you have an element of power that you can exercise, an element of authority that you can exercise that works to disadvantage a whole group of people, a whole
Mm-hmm.
race of people. That's the difference.
Yeah.
That's a different flavor. It's one thing for me, to be a black person and not like somebody of another culture. But I can't stop them from getting a job. I can't stop them from going to
Right.
college. I can't stop them from buying a house. I don't treat them differently, when they go to a store. to purchase clothing, to purchase groceries, to purchase a vehicle, or or a home. Um, that discrimination in the housing market that was called redlining.
Hmm.
Basically, they had literally in the housing contracts a clause that said the person selling the house could never sell it to a person of color. It was a
Hmm.
part of the contract. It was deemed illegal to do that by the Supreme Court, and that's when Black people were able to start purchasing homes that were in predominantly white neighborhoods. But then the banking industry took advantage of that. So what they would do literally is pay a black person to like go around in a stroller with the child, to kind of take a picture of that person as they're walking in their white neighborhood, put it on a flyer, and stick it under the doors or in the mailboxes of the white people in that neighborhood that the person was walking through, and basically saying they're coming, and your property values are going to go down, and blah 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 blah.
See?
So it would encourage what we came to know as white flight, and so they would sell their properties to black people, letting or rather sell their properties, and then what would happen is the bank would turn around and make a huge profit because they would increase the price, and then they would redline the district. So now
Mm.
these houses, this neighborhood that would be once considered affluent is now considered a quote unquote bad neighborhood. The property values have gone down, all kinds of things because the way that it has been listed by the bank's ledger, it's a red line district, and they were perpetuating that all across the United States. Basically, it was part of the system of racism in the United States. So that's the difference, folks. That's the difference between a person like, say, a Native American, or somebody of Hispanic heritage, or somebody who's black, being, having a bias or discriminatory attitude against white people versus white people having a discriminatory attitude against us. Because there is power behind it when the people who are in control of everything can oppress, can discriminate, can ostracize, and otherwise mistreat a person because of their biases against that person or culture or ethnicity.
Yeah. Well, and the power. I agree to a point with you because that bias. You're right. That power, but then you got to add a dash of devil too. Add the
Oh
whole dash
yeah.
of
Oh,
devil along
I
with it
told you that
because
he the root of it all.
take in your position. Whether you a judge, you may not know or you may not like someone for whatever you may not like, but I know you, and I believe that you would administer the law equally across the board
In the
because
name
of
of
the
Jesus.
person you are.
Hmm.
Okay, same thing. Well, Dr. Dimmer, his church is open to everybody.
Right. Right.
Okay, Dr. Sim, you wouldn't not give somebody counseling because they are of a
Oh.
particular race because of who you are. But what we're talking about, and a lot of this um, racism, I would say, is retaliatory.
Okay.
Oh, you going to discriminate against me? Oh, no, let's get it back. You go no, okay. So a lot of that
Right.
is retaliatory, where is because me, like I told you, there are people across the board that I may not like at all. It has nothing to do with what color they are.
That right.
Right.
That's
That's
real
what
good.
how I really judge a
That's
person.
character. Mm.
Okay, that's how I really that character. Okay, now Dr. Demery, what was that gentleman's name? This white gentleman that was on with us one Sunday. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Gary. Was it named Gary?
Yeah, Gary Hawk. He has a PhD in political science.
I love this cat. And guess what? Because he was a real person. All right. And you know what? Another thing we had in common, he can't stand 45. He, him and I, we became bonded immediately when I mean,
Right.
but he came over with Dr. Dimmer and we had a great time. But he's extremely articulate and just a brilliant gentleman. And you say he has a PhD in political science?
Right.
Oh my God! Hey, tell him to come back sometime. I'd like to talk to him. But anyway, we're gonna get to another clip. But to that person also, no, brother or sister, whoever that was, this is not an equal conversation. Okay. I
Well,
hope that.
she said
I hope
she
that.
didn't mean it that way, William. She said she didn't mean it that way, but I told her I had to address it because
Yeah, I did too.
what she is saying, somebody else, because the way I took it, it's not clarified. It's not clarified.
Okay.
So I know April. She's from North Carolina and she's a good
Okay.
person and she's not prejudiced, but that statement alone was just a broad statement and I
Yeah.
think it should have had more clarity. But she recanted and said she didn't mean it exactly that way.
Oh,
But and
okay.
I told her I had to address it just in case
Well, we had to.
somebody that's on the air online would pick that up as meaning, that we are bashing and things like that. And
No,
we're
we don't.
not bashing. We're
No.
talking truth here.
That's the whole idea. Thank you, April, for that. And so and then in that vein, then you can appreciate how I addressed it the way I did because I didn't know who you were, but that was something that kind of touched a little something here, a little nerve. So I had.
Big nerve. But you know what? You know what, William? You know what I'm noticing about this new generation, the young people that are coming up, and the young adults. Their thought processes is a whole lot different than
And
ours. I
Yep.
believe that they're seeing a little more clearer of what their forefathers have done and what they've
Mhm.
tried to project. And I believe that we have a generation this day that is a generation of understanding. They have a cohesiveness with each other. They're
Mhm.
understanding the cultures. So you
mm,
have some who are sick because it's learned behavior. They're taught that at home. But
yeah.
for the masses, you have white, black, Asian, everybody holding hands. It don't matter.
Hmm.
You
Right.
got and you got white marrying African Americans. You got Afro Americans marrying white, Asian, whoever. It is just the character of the individual that you're
Hmm.
drawn to, not the color of the skin, because that does not make you. It doesn't make you at all.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
what you stand for and giving the respect. Because I believe that people respect begets respect. Now, don't look for me to always give you respect and you're gonna act a fool. Because then
You
guess
can't.
what?
Right. Right.
The other me is gonna come out. Because I'm gonna tell you something. And pray for you later, for real. Because when
Uh,
you gonna stand and tell me to respect me, you gonna act like a clown? Not so, not with
Right.
this girl.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And folks, it ain't the other her; it's all her. But you just don't want to flip that switch, right?
And see,
No,
we
you
were being
didn't.
complimentary earlier.
Oh no,
Oh,
I
oh,
am.
you
Wow.
got it. You got some act right coming for you.
Oh, I,
Wow.
I asked you the other day. I said, does that act rate come in a bottle?
Ooh.
I mean,
You know
Wow.
what? I told you
Okay.
you need more in the bottle. You know what I told you. You know what my
yeah.
response
I
was.
mean,
You
capsules,
need a
capsules.
great big about 4 or 5 barrels. What you need, and just dump you in there.
Wow. Wow. Well, we saw some of the old William come out. Some of that
Yes,
I
he
done
did. I
jumped
already
bad.
know. I felt that. I felt it.
Right. It bled
No,
through
oh
quite
no,
a bit
all
just
I'm just saying that you're not two faced. That's all you. Okay, I'm just
William,
saying
you
Ooh.
that's
know what? You
the side.
can't even fix it. Don't fix it. Don't do it. Don't
I'm
do
not
it.
trying to fix it. You just need to hear my explanation.
All right, go ahead. I'm
Uh-uh.
listening. I'm
Uh-uh.
What I'm
listening.
saying, there is okay, Dr. Sims, extremely intelligent, insightful, okay, wise, and she also has that trigger that you don't want to mess with. All of that is
He said it. He did.
I did.
He said it. Yeah.
Now, what did I say that was wrong?
Nothing's wrong. I just know, you said it right, but it's just the way you brought it out before. You're right. I have to back up and condescend to your statement. So don't mess with me. I'll put it out
What
there.
I just
Wow.
said.
Yeah, that's
Oh
it.
man, we're gonna go to our last segment here, folks. We'll be right back. Hey, this is the Boomerang Radio Show. It's called Boomerang for a reason, huh? Absolutely.
Yep.
Studio W Buzz. This is Mr. Pele. All right, check it out.
Pelé. Pelé was born Edson Arantes do Nascimento on this day, October 23rd, 1940, in Tres Coracoes, Brazil. Named after Thomas Edison, Pelé moved with his family to the city of Bauru as a young boy. His father struggled to earn a living as a soccer player, and young Edson grew up in poverty. Taught to play the game by his father, he could not afford an actual soccer ball and usually played with either a sock stuffed with newspaper or a grapefruit. He earned extra money by working in tea shops as a servant. He received the nickname Pele during his school days. Legend has it that he was given the name because of his pronunciation of the name of his favorite soccer player, a goalkeeper named Bile, who played for the local team. When young Edson would say the mispronounced name, his friends would tease him by calling him by the name, and the more he protested, the more it stuck. As an adolescent, Pele joined the youth squad coached by a former member of the Brazilian national team. Inspired by his talent, the coach eventually convinced Pele's family to let the budding phenom leave home and try out for the professional soccer club Santos FC when he was 15 years old. The coach, brimming with confidence, told the directors of Santos FC that the 15-year-old Pele would be, quote, the greatest football player in the world. Pele impressed the Santos FC coach during his trial and signed with the team. He immediately started practicing with them and was highly promoted in the local media as a future superstar. He scored the first professional goal of his career before he turned 16. He led the league in goals in his first full season and was recruited to play for the Brazilian national team. The world was officially introduced to Pele in the 1958 World Cup in Sweden. Displaying remarkable speed, athleticism, and field vision, the 17-year-old Pele erupted to score 3 goals in a 5-2 semifinal win over France, and then netted 2 more in the final. The young superstar received hefty offers to play for European clubs, but the Brazilian president eventually had Pele declared a national treasure, making it legally difficult for him to play in another country. Regardless, Santos FC ownership ensured that Pele was well paid by scheduling lucrative exhibition matches with teams around the world. Pele aggravated a groin injury 2 games into the 1962 World Cup in Chile, sitting out the final rounds while Brazil went on to claim its second straight title. 4 years later in England, a series of brutal attacks by opposing defenders again forced him to the sidelines with leg injuries, and Brazil was bounced from the World Cup after 1 round. Despite the disappointment on the world stage, the legend of Pele continued to grow. In the late 60s, 2 factions in the Nigerian Civil War reportedly agreed to a 48-hour ceasefire so they could watch Pele play an exhibition game in Lagos, Nigeria. The 1970 World Cup in Mexico marked a triumphant return to glory for Pele and Brazil. Headlining a formidable squad, Pele scored 4 goals in the tournament, including 1 in the final to give Brazil a 4-1 victory over Italy. Pele is credited with being the inspiration for the phrase, the beautiful game, in its connection with soccer. He was a prolific scorer, known for his ability to anticipate his opponent's whereabouts and strike the ball with accurate and powerful shots with either foot. Pele was also a hard-working team player with exceptional vision and intelligence. He was also recognized for his precise passing and his ability to provide his teammates with assists. Pele announced his retirement from soccer in 1974, but he was lured back to the field the following year to play for the New York Cosmos of the North American Soccer League, and temporarily helped to make the North American Soccer League a big attraction. He played his final game in an exhibition between New York and Santos in October of 1977, competing for both sides, and retired with a total of 1,281 goals in 1,363 games. Throughout his career and in his retirement, Pele received several individual and team awards for his performance in the field, his record-breaking achievements, and legacy in the sport. Retirement did little to diminish the public profile of Pele, who remained a popular pitchman and active in many professional arenas. In 1978, Pele was awarded the International Peace Award for his work with UNICEF and has served as Brazil's Extraordinary Minister for Sport and a United Nations Ambassador for Ecology and the Environment. Among the most successful and popular sports figures of the 20th century, Pele is one of the most lauded players in the history of soccer and has frequently been ranked as the best player ever. To many, his accomplishments on the soccer field will never be equaled, and virtually all great athletes in the sport are measured against the Brazilian, who once made the world stop to watch his exceptional skills. Among other numerous films about his life, as recently as 2021, Pele, a biographical documentary film about our magnificent brother, was released to the streaming service Netflix.
All right, we're back. The Boomerang Radio Show. Hey, we're back. The Boomerang comes to you every Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 o'clock on East, 5 Central, and 4 Mountain. And back to my esteemed panel, Dr. Cecilia Sims, Ann Wooten Taylor, and the Reverend Dr. Rudolph Demery. And yours truly just hanging out. Hey, guys, I wanted that was a fun clip there. And I'm going to take a stab at this that everybody on this panel has heard of Pele.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-mm.
is shaking her head. Oh wow.
No,
I've seen him
not a
play.
soccer follower. No,
Yeah.
not a
Well,
soccer follower.
I'm not a soccer follower also, but everyone knew about Pele. Dr. Demery, I think at one time he was the highest paid athlete in the world.
Well, what they uh, didn't state is that he was the first athlete to make $1 million a year.
Yep.
Wow.
Wow, that's a blessing. Wow.
Ooh-wee.
And if you heard the history where he grew up in 1940, right? Family was extremely poor. And for him to go and come on the world stage like that. And Dr. Sims, have you ever seen him play?
Yes, he is phenomenal. The tricks that he did with his body while running the ball and hitting his head and hitting it up. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I know I'd break a leg or two. Come on. But you know what? Wasn't he from the Dominican Republic?
I don't know. Was it Dominican or Brazil, Dr. Demery?
I can't remember
No,
which
Brazil.
one.
He was from
Oh,
Brazil.
okay.
Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's why they look. They wanted other countries wanted him, and Brazilian president said, "Oh no, no, this is a national." They declared him a national treasure. Look here, bro, you ain't going nowhere. He, he he was one.
Wow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was just that important to that country, and it kind of
Wow.
show you how certain athletics and sports they are intertwined with a country's status,
Mm,
so to speak.
mm,
That's why the
mm,
United States. That's why with the Olympics. That's why they put on. Uh, hey, look, those athletes there. I love the Olympics. I absolutely love the Olympics, right? But of
mm,
course, you have your politicians. They love it too because if they endorses that, they'll give them notoriety. So, but us sports fans, we love the Olympics because that's not the country; it's those individuals.
mm,
Now, uh, I'm gonna just sidestep this for a second. That is the only time that I would agree with playing the national anthem. That's the only time I would agree to that. Over here in the United States, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, take the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance out of the game, period.
wow.
And I think that you would cut down on some of this craziness that's going on. Number one, I don't go to a game to sing the national anthem. I don't like the song anyway.
Wow.
And I'm gonna tell you something.
Wow.
William,
I,
that's their tradition, William.
I
I mean,
don't care. Tradition, I don't care. Matter of
oh,
fact, now because since now we could get some more comments too, but I'm gonna say this: since this thing with Colin Kaepernick
Right.
and the
oh
national
yes,
anthem and
okay.
kneeling and stuff like that, I refuse to stand up anywhere when it's played.
But you know
Wow.
And
what, William? They should have brought him back. Their
And
arrogance has
blackballing
come
him.
through,
they
and they're
blackballed him.
blackballing him because actually he started a domino effect. Okay, and
Mhm.
not only he's standing in protest for rights, it's the
All
white
of them.
counterparts that are doing the same. So my
Right?
thing is this: they should have ate humble pie and brought that brother back. You understand?
Yeah,
But what it is there's some folks that don't want to have him win. That's the whole ball and wax
of
because
course.
that's like a big slap in their
Well,
But he's
faces.
well,
already
it's a
won.
slap in the
Athletes
face
all
because
Yeah.
over the world are doing
it's a
it.
slap in the face because you ain't gonna stand up when Master tell you to stand up. It's just that simple.
Oh,
He
Don't
oh,
get
already
too
won.
deep. Oh yeah,
They they were
no.
protesting at the last Olympics. The athletes all over the world
Come
are
on now.
protesting.
yes, they
That's
are.
So
exactly right.
it's not just he started something. It was just that one person, that one act, and they made it worse. I mean,
Yes.
Right.
they kind of made a martyr out of him to the point where we all gonna do it. You know what I'm
He
saying?
is right.
And
And
who
look
was that? Tebow. Tebow, the football player. He get on his knees and pray,
well, he
right?
did it all the
Hmm.
time. He used to
Okay.
kneel all the time for the national anthem.
Yes, yes. And
Oh,
because of his background, he was praying while the anthem was going on.
yeah,
But guess
Hmm.
what? Some
uh-huh.
others got the concept as well.
And see, and then they're blaming Colin Kaepernick solely for that. But in the very beginning, if you really go back to say where it started, he wasn't kneeling at all. He was just sitting on the bench, but he wasn't
Mm,
going to stand. But
Mm.
mm.
it was a was it an army vet or army soldier or somebody from the military came to him, Reverend Demery, and said, "Hey, bro, I'll tell you how you can do this." He said, "You can still uh, um, stand with your team, but just kneel on one knee." And
Mm.
that's what he did. Okay, because you can talk now. You go get if you talk to the average military person was a veteran or active duty, they will say, "Look, some of them don't like him, but the majority of them will tell you, well, look, that's what we're fighting for him to have the right
Exactly.
to
Exactly.
exercise his First Amendment."
Right.
But they weren't complaining when white people were burning flags
No,
at the
Oh,
Capitol.
come
that is a
on.
fact.
Come
That is a
on.
fact. And then if the flag is so sacred, why you would desecrate it and make it blue?
And then make garments out of it. I mean,
Yeah.
they make
Well,
it in the overall.
you saw the statue where they were rolling 45 and he had the flag trousers on.
Oh Lord, that's the
Stop.
goofiest thing I've ever
And
seen in my
they
life.
were taking pictures and he was
Oh yeah,
wearing
Stop.
all gold and had the flag in men boxers.
Lord
Stop.
Jesus. And look here,
Mm-mm.
if y'all ever saw me take a picture next to that clown, I'm gonna
Ooh.
really need some therapy then, Doctor. I'm gonna be calling you. Look, oh my goodness, that is the
Yeah,
dumbest thing
I
I
know you
ever heard.
wouldn't do that.
But
I
that,
know you wouldn't.
but you know what? That statue, Doctor Demery, is not only atrocious. That is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Oh
Woo.
yeah,
Well, you know,
a big gold head with where white and blue draws on.
the other thing that is such an aphorism, and the evangelicals don't say anything about it, burning a cross.
Mm.
Yes.
Woo!
Take the
Yes.
symbol of Christianity
Come on
and
now.
to take the symbol and burn it, that is,
Mm.
you want to talk about sacrilegious.
That
Come
Yes.
on
part.
now.
That
Yes.
part.
That part, you exactly right about that.
Yes.
That is
Wow.
an excellent point. But that's okay. Huh?
Hmm.
Man, you better get out of here with that mess. Like I said, this is not an equal discussion. You go coming to me with this. Not at
Mm.
all. It's just like what's going on where you got the Republicans talk about right now. We can't participate in this 1-6 meeting, the hearing. We weren't allowed to do that. You're lying. You like Dr. Dimmer say, you lie. You're lying.
Right.
Okay,
Right. Right.
because you were invited, and you were invited to have an equal panel, but you guys want to clown around and not do it. But then you will put clowns like Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Tillon and lost her doggone mind green on the thing. I mean, I mean, the dumb stuff that you hear right now, it is so stupid. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we do not have, and people are buying into it. That answers our question. That's why we don't have the intelligence of the Egyptians. That's why
Ooh,
we,
Whoa.
yeah,
whoa, what?
absolutely.
Wow.
You talking about distractions? When you are
Wow.
fed garbage, when you got half the population in the United States, we talking about 50, 60, 70, 80 million of the voting population out here still believe that big lie. And you
Hmm.
figure how come society hasn't advanced? That's because you are staying stupid.
Wow. Stay on.
Intentionally stupid. Wow.
Yeah.
You stuck on stupid on
Wow.
purpose.
I mean,
Right, right, right.
and I guess I did mean to be blunt.
Oops.
Wow.
Oh, and wow, are we out of time?
We
Yeah,
are at 7:01.
I think so. Hey, any shout outs before we go?
Yes,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Mark Mercer and April Hopkins was on over on here for a moment too. So I want to give shout outs to both of them. Dr. Sims, you have them?
I
What you got,
do. I
Doctor?
have Geraldine Gray and Carolyn Coley from California. April again, she's walking back and forth. Then we have uh, we have Faith Walk. It's a group. Faith Walk was on
Praise
here,
the Lord.
and it's a variety of cities. And then there's Sean. She's from Georgia. And then there's others. I didn't get all of their names, and there's some in the background that are listening as well. And then
Well,
William, one of my listeners said that we need to make a picture, get your picture and put it on a T-shirt, and we would get rich. But buy your picture, put a question mark at it. I'm like, anyway,
Look, speaking of shirts, William, you
yeah,
owe me
I
two
know.
shirts.
Okay, okay. And I
yes,
would put you in there,
William.
and I am backlog on a couple of things, and those shirts. I would tell you what, we will take care of that by the end of the week. Okay, they will be done. I'll see the manufacturers tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, and then you'll have it the following week. Okay,
All
I'll make
right.
sure. I'll make sure that's thing. Thank you for reminding me.
You're
Also,
welcome.
there's a guest that I've been promising the book for my gospel explosion. I will get back with you also on that. Oh boy, there's a lot happening. And then, folks, by November 15th, there is going to be a major, 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 major announcement. Dr. Sims already know what it is. I need to give you a call, Dr. Demery and Ann. I'm gonna give you
All
guys a
right.
call. It's major. Wow, I'm really excited about it too.
Praise the
I'm
Lord. I'm looking forward to
extremely,
hearing about it.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, this has been a very interesting show, ladies
Can
and
Hmm.
I give a
gentlemen.
shout out for the 30th? We're having the Global Award artist, musical gospel artist, Dorothy Norwood.
Oh yes.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
Woo!
she is
Congratulations.
gracing God's model women, and we will be airing live. William, I need to talk with you, of course. Some technicalities there we're trying to work out,
Okay,
but
Mm.
that would
God is
be
really
great. That would
doing.
be great. Oh,
Yes, yes, I'm excited
oh,
about
I'm looking
that.
forward to it. That's the 30th. That's on a Saturday.
Yes,
And yeah, and now are the boys on? Do you know? Are they on that Saturday or not?
October 30th, no. They
Oh,
won't be back until November 6th.
okay, Doctor Sims. We
we
might be
got
working
it.
something out.
We got it.
It's getting
Hmm.
good. It's getting gooder and gooder. All right.
I
I
love it.
like it. I like it. Hey, I want to thank our audience, guys, gals. We love you. Thank you so much for listening, and your participation is welcome. And we're going to invite you to go to the website. Please subscribe and leave a comment. Okay.
Yes.
Only the good ones, the bad ones will be deleted.
We got to
Wow.
give them equal
No.
opportunity.
I
Well,
don't blame them. I delete stuff too. If they're cursing and
oh
all
yeah.
that,
Look here.
I'll delete it too.
Look
Okay.
at
All right.
look at if it's going to affect the bottom line. No, it's got to go. All right.
I got you. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you.
All right. Oh, this is so much fun. Thank you, guys. Oh, tonight you got time? Go and grab some dinner and come back for Sunday Night Go. I have the lovely Miss Jasmine Vegas out of VA, what it stands for Virginia, my hometown. Okay, coming on Sunday Night Go is going to be a stone cold blast, folks. This is where I get my I jump started in the mornings with the gospel music on Sundays and kind of cap it off in the evenings with the Sunday Night Gold. So thanks all. You guys have a great evening. and enjoy. Okay, we'll be back in just about an hour, folks, for Sunday Night Go.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye. Enjoy, folks. Yeah. Oh, let's get this party started. All right, Dr. Demery, Dr. Sims, good night.